Okay, this is a video for M2T2, and the only difference here is we're going to be using CN. So again, I would expect you to do the reading for CN before doing this. In Module 1, you did a program called Apple Store or Apple Orchard, where you wrote a program to just print out a string, a name, an int, the number of apples, and a double, the price per apple. So we're going to do that again from scratch, so I won't bother looking at the old code, although certainly it wouldn't hurt if you choose to. Again, I'm going to use this. You could skip this, but I like it. I'm going to use iomanip in order to do the fancy dollars and cents, so we get exactly 2 decimal points. Not sure why I have an error there. It goes away. Good. 4. Great. You know, it might be kind of nice to have a default project that had all this stuff typed in it, but that's all right. So let's say, welcome to your new apple orchard. So a little role play here. We have an apple orchard, you know, whatever. I'll do an end L. Okay, that's some very weird stuff happening on that line, so let's see if I can fix this. Somebody mentioned some oddness happening, so let's see. Yeah. Well, let's try this. So now that my mouse has gone weird, if I hit refresh, will it fix it? Or will I lose all my code? Moment of truth. Okay, it looks good. So that's good to know. So that is a bug I've heard mentioned and came up recently. Looks like you're refreshing your page, you won't lose your code. But it can get a little risky. So what does this program want us to do? Well, let's think about that. So ask the user for name, number of apples, price each, calc the total cost, print all useful output. That's kind of leaving it vague, but that's all right. It's always input, processing, output. We need some values, we do the math on them if we need to, and we print the answer. You know, whether you're averaging grades or finding a mortgage cost or whatever, it's always going to be kind of the same process. Okay, so let's declare our variables. And we know we have string, name, right? And then int num apples, and double cost per apple. And then I would say I'd probably use double as well for total price of apples. This is some long variable names. I can live with that. Maybe not the best variable names, but that's okay. You should always pick your names in such a way that they're long enough so that they're obvious what they are, but not so long that you get tired of typing them or mistyping them. So let's say I were to set all these values to, like, you know, I have 100 apples at $5 per, well, it's $500. That would be easy enough. I'm actually going to write that line real quick just to see. So I would say total price of, I can hit tab there, so that's handy. I don't have to write the entire variable name. Total price of apples equals num apples times cost per apple. Cool. And there's the math. So, you know, I'm going to, if I do this like where it looks like M1 lab, then I would be putting in all the output here. So, you know, print name, num apples cost per total cost. Just to remind me, right? So let's do our CN. So this is the case where if I was doing the auto grader, I would just do something like CN name, right? And the auto grader would figure that out. But here's the thing. Oh, wrong way. The rule of thumb is cout. The arrows always face towards cout because it's printing out. With CN, they always point towards the variable. So name, like that, right? But I don't want to do that because the user, well, let me just run it and show you what I mean. Right? Huh? Oh, program's done, right? So CN is just going to sit there and blink at you. So we want to write a cout prompt. You have to ask the question. You don't just walk up to somebody and stare at them. You say, hey, how's it going? And then you stare at them for a second and they answer. So cout, what is your name? Now I'll show you a little trick here. In this case, I didn't add an end L, but I did put a question mark and a space. So it's going to look like this. So I'd say my name is Andrew. Great, cool, good. That'll work pretty well. So I could also do it like this, in which case it would look like this. Bob. Either one's fine. It'll be your decision. I think in this case, it's going to look pretty good to have it next to the questions, so we'll leave it that way. And then I'll do the next one, which is how many apples are in stock? Again, a space there to make it look nice. Num apples, right? And then finally, one apple cost. And I'll do a CN of cost. And of course, as soon as I hit cost P, it's going to let me hit tab to autocomplete. Great. So let's run that to make sure it works. I don't see any errors on the left side. No red text. Let's try it. So Chuck, I have 100 apples, and they're, I don't know, 10 cents each. Cool. So that program works with no errors. Now I'm not done, of course. This is why I often like to write a bunch of comments like this, because I want people to know, not people, me, honestly, me in 5 minutes, me in 10 minutes or a half hour. I want to know what I plan to do here. It's a lot to keep in your head at once, solving the problem, remembering what language to use, fixing bugs. Comments are breadcrumbs for you and anybody else who comes along later to know what the hell's going on. They don't need a lot of text, just enough to kind of jog your memory for the sort of average reader. So I will do the little fancy thing I did in the last video, which is set precision to fixed for XYY format. That seems clear enough, right? It's dollar and cents format. So now I want to say should cool. Okay. Now that may look weird. When we run it, it'll make sense why I wrote it this way. In fact, let's run it now to make sure. Every time you write a line or two of code, it can't hurt to run the code to make sure you didn't make any mistakes. Bob will be the apple orchard owner, 100 apples. How about 25 cents each? Cool, great. We have 100 apples in stock. So, this looks weird to say we have num apples, but when I first wrote it, I wrote just num apples in stock, and it just says we have 100 in stock. Now, it means 100 apples, but it just is easier to read with a little bit of good English. At a price of all right, cool. And now we'll do one more line here and say for a total value of there we go. Cool. All right, I think we got it. So let's give that a try and see how it looks. Now when I restart the program, it's going to reset. All right, let's try that again. You didn't want to start on me. Now, when this kind of thing happens, again, what I would usually do is refresh the page. I get a little worried. There is a chance you could lose your text, but it's a pretty small chance. It's usually saving it every couple of seconds. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so this seems fine. And let's run it. Okay, there we go. Now we see a build. So I'll say I am Smith. There we go, great. We say we have 99 apples, and they are 25 cents each. Okay, looks good. Not too complicated. It's all just in the details. You could leave out set precision and fixed. You could have left out your prompts. You could have made a lot shorter messages. You could have written a program that just printed out 99.25, 24.75, but no one's going to know what it means. So with a little bit of context here, the program is going to make some sense, hopefully. So that's how you complete M2T2. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you later.